Hi and welcome to another episode of our Monday Market Outlook. Sorry for the late upload as I'm currently in the Negros Occidental area. People mainly living in Metro Manila may not know how difficult connectivity is outside of Metro Manila, right? Hearing a 48 billion budget overrun from PLDT. Come on guys, hurry up, install those towers so that people outside of Metro Manila can have better internet connectivity. And mind you, in this area, in this specific area in Kawayan, there's no PLDT connection. There's only Globe. Guys, come on. 48 billion. So, looking back at what happened during the last week of the PSEI, look at that indecision there, no? So we just hovered around 6,500, which was the year-end estimate that we've been saying, no? 6,500 was the magic number. So the question is, where are we headed to, right? So after this consolidation here, are we looking at going to 6,800 or are we moving towards support at 6.4? The direction here will probably be determined by the inflation numbers coming out at around January 5. Since we had 8% inflation in November, we are expecting for the December inflation is something higher simply because of the holiday demand, right? So looking at the 1-year chart of the PSEI, we're basically for the year, January 3 up to our 6,500 level today, we are just down around 7.7%. So not so bad. So next year we're expecting a high inflation, high interest rate environment. So as we mentioned in our last episode, it is best to stay on the defensive, right? So just going back to the defensive stock picks, we have here BDO, BPI, Metrobank, Aboitiz Power, Semirara, DMC, AC, SM, DNL, JFC, and our dark horse entry, which is Bloom. And then, of course, if you are into REITs, we have ARIT and CREIT. So just take note of the current price and the target price. And you can always buy these stocks near their buy near price. So remember, in an environment where the market is trading in a range and we are defensive, we have to engage in a buy low, sell high strategy. So what does this strategy mean? If we look at our first pick here, BDO, see, this stock basically is trading in a range. Every time it hits a support area here, you buy. And then you sell here when it hits a resistance area. Buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. So every week, we monitor these levels. We just have to be patient. And then we anticipate if it's going into a support or into a resistance level, and then we react. So here BPI is the same scenario, right? So this is a box range. We can always look at it this way, right? See, it's trading in a range. So you buy low, you sell high, right? So or you buy low, you sell some, buy more, and then just hold on to it, right? No, but for certain stocks that are on a clear uptrend, you have to employ a buy the dip strategy. So here, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, right? Another great way to enter into a stock is to buy during capitulations, right? So look at DMCI, right? There's a big capitulation here. What happened? It's basically them giving a special dividend. This special dividend was so attractive that investors bought it, and after DMC gave the dividend on the X date, the stock, everybody just sold it. At the end of the day, there's nothing clearly wrong with DMC. It's just a sell-off that has nothing to do with company fundamentals. Look, if you bought the dip here, now it's at 12 pesos, you could have earned 42% from DMC, right? So don't be afraid to buy the dip during capitulations, right? Look at SM also here, right? At 700, SM is so cheap, right? So if you bought that, this capitulation, this October capitulation didn't have anything to do with company fundamentals, right? It is just a reaction on the Fed being more hawkish, which led to the sell-off, right? So if you bought this dip, for example, if you bought the uptrend here, right, you could have made already 23%. If you sold here, that's 34%. So don't be afraid to buy whenever a stock capitulates, especially when you're holding a stock really has great fundamentals and that there's nothing that changed in the company fundamentally. Moving on to the S&P 500, last week we saw the same indecision. Here, we saw the S&P 500 trading at around 3,800 to 3,850. Not a big range though, so we can see that the 3,750 level, what I'm still expecting for the coming days is for this gap to be filled. Afterwards, we continue the downtrend line. So if we're looking at the downtrend line that we were tracking, see, it's still tracking this line here. This may or may not happen, right? We just have to be patient, and then we have to anticipate. But look, the buy low, sell high strategy also works in this kind of environment. So during this time, when we already had a pattern that we can establish, right? We knew as early as back then that the S&P 500 was moving along this area here. So when this happened here, we should have already anticipated that it is most likely going to go down. When the S&P 500 reached this level, this was a clear trend line resistance. So we were anticipating it to go down, and it did go down, right? So when it hit this level here, we were anticipating that it would go up. And yes, if you look at our past episode, you can see that we had a line being traced here during that time. Now we're tracing this line. So, right, the buy low, sell high strategy also works in this scenario. But in this case, since we can short the US market, we go long when it hits support, and we short when it hits resistance, right? So you can make money both ways, right? So the S&P 500 didn't have a Santa Claus rally during the last 5 trading days for 2022. As we anticipated, during bear markets, usually the Santa Claus rally doesn't happen. So now we have to watch closely this week if there's still a chance for Santa to come in late, because historically, when Santa Claus rally doesn't happen, it usually doesn't bode well for the next month, next quarter, even for the next year. So if you look at the other times where Santa Claus rally didn't happen, right? We were negative during that time. The January numbers were also negative. Q1 numbers also doesn't look good. Even the whole calendar year doesn't look good, right? We are in for a more choppy year in 2023. So remember to always stay defensive. Just be patient, right? When trading stocks, always be patient. Do not let FOMO drive your investment decisions. Always be patient. When a good setup comes into play, then you anticipate if it's going to happen or not, and then you react accordingly. Either you go long or you go short, right? Also, something you need to look out for, the major names like Tesla and Apple will be coming out with their earnings report in the later part of January, around January 24, January 25. So that is something that we have to monitor, because those numbers will give us a better idea on how these big companies that affect the S&P 500 will perform next year, given all the inflationary pressures, no? That's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for regular updates. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.